Today you're about to learn the one habit that separates the weak from the powerful, the confused from the wise, and the average from the unstoppable. This is not just a motivational video. This is a wake-up call. This is a system, a warning, a strategy, a map. Every day you scroll through life, distracted by noise. Every day you watch others succeed while you feel stuck. And every day you avoid the one thing that could change everything: educating yourself. Let me say this clearly. Your real enemy is not poverty, not failure, not fear. Your real enemy is not knowing how money works, not knowing how people lie, not knowing how to control your anger, your time, your thoughts, your pain. And if you don't educate yourself daily, life will educate you through pain, debt, regret, rejection. You'll keep losing jobs, losing relationships, losing your self-respect, all because you stopped growing. The brutal truth. If you don't educate yourself, life will. Let's start with honesty. Most people stop learning after school, and that's why their life never changes. They go to school, memorize, pass the exam, forget everything, and then wait for a good job, a good life, and a good future. But they forgot something. School may give you a degree, but only self-education gives you freedom. The world is changing fast. New technology, new businesses, new ideas, new problems. But most people are still living with old knowledge, old thinking, and old habits. They don't know how money works. They don't know how to sell. They don't know how to say no. They don't know how to control their emotions. They don't know how to lead, how to build, how to survive. So what happens? Life teaches them, but not with books. Life teaches with pain. You didn't learn about money? Now you're in debt. You didn't learn about toxic people? Now you're broken inside. You didn't learn how to build a career? Now you're 35, stuck and begging for opportunities. You didn't learn how to think for yourself? Now you follow the crowd. And the crowd is going nowhere. And the most dangerous part? You think it's normal. But let me ask you this. Why are the top 1% always reading, learning, investing in knowledge? Why are CEOs still studying at 50? Why are billionaires reading 3 to 4 hours a day? Because they know. Daily education is not a hobby. It's survival. The poor spend hours on entertainment. The rich spend hours on education. The average person scrolls. The future leader studies. And if you don't start educating yourself, someone else will always control you. Your boss, your debt, your fear, your mistakes. This is not motivation. This is your only chance to escape the trap. Learn daily, or stay weak forever. That's the brutal truth. Why daily education builds power, respect, and control. Let me ask you something. Have you ever met someone who speaks with calm power? Who doesn't panic? Who always finds a way? Who people listen to, respect, follow? They are not lucky. They are educated daily. Here's what happens when you learn every day. You feel stronger. You know why you feel insecure, lost, or scared? Because you feel unprepared. But the more you learn, the stronger you become. You learn how to solve problems, how to handle stress, how to take action, how to stay focused when others give up. And that confidence doesn't come from talking. It comes from knowing. You speak differently. When you educate yourself daily, your vocabulary grows. You think more clearly. You express better ideas. You become the person in the room people want to listen to. Because you bring value. You're not loud. You're sharp. People don't respect noise. They respect clarity. And clarity comes from daily education. You make smarter decisions. Imagine this. Two people face the same problem. One has studied the topic, read books, learned strategies. The other just guesses. Who wins? Always the one who's educated. Life is a game of decisions. And the more you know, the better you play. You attract opportunities. People want to work with sharp people. People want to help those who are serious. People follow those who can think clearly. Daily education gives you that power. It makes you different. It makes you valuable. Because while others are talking about gossip, you're talking about growth. You feel in control. Daily learning gives you control over your time, your mind, your energy, your emotions, your future. Because now, you're not reacting to life. You're building your life. You're not waiting for help. You're helping yourself. And that control, that power, that respect only comes from one place. Educating yourself daily. The world doesn't need more noise. It needs people who think clearly, people who build, lead, and stay strong. And that starts with what you learn every single day. Because 1 hour of education a day is more powerful than 10 hours of blind hard work. And if you start today, in 1 year, you won't recognize yourself. Section 1. Financial education. Learn how to earn, keep, and grow money. Let's begin with the most painful truth most people never want to face. You can be kind. You can be honest. You can be a good person. But if you don't understand money, the world will still treat you like you don't matter. Read that again. In school, they taught you algebra, but they never taught you how to pay taxes. They made you memorize history dates, but they never taught you how to invest, negotiate, or protect your money. That's why people spend their whole lives working and still feel broke, scared, and stuck. Let me give you a simple rule that could change your life forever. If you don't study money, you will always work for someone who did. That's the truth. And it hurts, but it can save you. So what does financial education really mean? It means learning how money moves. It means understanding how to earn in different ways: job, skill, business, investment. How to keep your money safe, save, plan, budget. And how to grow it, invest, multiply, scale. Now listen closely. This is not about becoming a billionaire. This is about something even more powerful. Becoming free. Free from fear. Free from dependence. Free from begging. Because when you understand money, you don't panic. You plan, you build, you rise. There are two people. Both earn the same salary. Person A spends money every weekend on things they don't need. They never learn how to invest. They never read about money. They just work hard and hope. Person B reads about money every day, just 20 minutes. They learn how to invest, how to avoid debt, how to build a side income. And in 5 years, they don't just survive, they're free. Same income, different future. Why? One chose education, the other chose entertainment. Which one are you becoming? Learn how rich people think about money versus poor people. Learn what assets are, things that make money while you sleep. Learn the difference between income versus wealth. Learn how to budget and track your money. Learn how to start a small side hustle. Learn how to invest for long-term freedom. Nobody is coming to save you. And luck is not a financial plan. You must take your mind and train it like a weapon. Because in this world, you will either be educated about money or you will be controlled by those who are. 1 hour a day, that's all it takes. Read, watch, learn. And in 365 days, your financial life will never be the same. Section 2. Skill education. Learn something that makes you valuable. Let me now give you the second most life-changing truth. You do not get paid for your time. You get paid for your value. And how do you become valuable? Not by waiting, not by begging, not by blaming the system, but by developing real skills that solve real problems in the real world. Most people are struggling financially not because they're lazy, but because they never took time to develop a skill the world needs. You can be motivated. You can be positive. But if you don't have a skill that people will pay for, you will always struggle. That's why skill education is your daily responsibility. Every day you should be asking, what can I do today that I couldn't do yesterday? What skill can I sharpen that will make me more useful, more valuable, more needed? Because skills are the new currency. Imagine this. Two people apply for the same opportunity. One says, I've worked hard, I'm loyal, I deserve a chance. The other says, here's what I can build, design, edit, solve, or sell for you. Who do you think gets chosen? The one with the skill. Not the sob story, not the wish, the skill. These are skills you can start learning today, free from YouTube, books, or mentors. Copywriting, writing words that sell. Video editing, for YouTubers, businesses, content creators. Sales, the most powerful skill in business and life. Public speaking, so people trust and follow you. Digital marketing, ads, email, funnels, SEO. Freelancing, finding clients and offering services. Graphic design, creating branding, ads, content. Web development, building websites, landing pages. AI tools, ChatGPT, Midjourney, productivity tools. Leadership and management, so you can build teams, not just work for them. Start small. Learn for 30 minutes a day. Practice for 30 minutes more. In 90 days, you'll be more valuable than most people around you. Most people fail because they want money without skills. They want success without learning. They say, I'll do it tomorrow, every day for years, and that's why they stay stuck. But not you, not anymore. If you're broke, don't cry, learn. If you're confused, don't scroll, learn. If you feel lost, don't wait, learn. Educate yourself daily in skills. That's the fastest way out of survival mode. Because when you become valuable, nobody can ignore you. Section 3. Mindset Education. Learn how to think powerfully and clearly. Let's be honest. Some people work 14 hours a day and still stay stuck. Others work 4 hours and grow faster. Why? Because of one invisible thing: their mindset. Your mindset is how you think. It's your mental operating system. It's the filter you use to see the world. Two people face the same problem. One says, why is this happening to me? The other says, what is this teaching me? Same problem, different mindset, different future. Why most people stay? Average, because they never educate themselves on how to think. They copy others. They react emotionally. They complain. They give up after one failure. They need motivation every day because they've never trained their mind to be strong. That's why you must make mindset education a daily habit. Imagine your mind is like a battlefield, and every day you face doubt, fear, laziness, distraction, anxiety, comparison, guilt, regret. Now ask yourself, have you trained your mind to fight those battles? Because if not, they will win. Every time. That's why people lose discipline. That's why they say, I'll start tomorrow every single day. That's why they feel something is wrong even when life is okay. Because their mind is untrained. You can have the best opportunities in the world, but with the wrong mindset, you will sabotage all of them. How to learn daily for mindset growth. How to control your thoughts. How to build mental strength resilience. How to focus in a distracted world. How to think long-term, not emotionally. How to build habits that change identity. How to stop comparing, overthinking, and fearing failure. How to stay calm in chaos. Read 10 pages from mindset books. The Mountain is You. Atomic Habits Can't Hurt Me. Watch one video a day about mental strength. David Goggins, Jocko Willink, Navy SEAL mindset, etc. Journal your thoughts. What am I thinking today? Is this helping me or hurting me? Observe powerful people. Not what they say, but how they think under pressure. Life is not about what happens to you. It's about what you do with it, and that's mindset. The wrong mindset will keep you poor, jealous, reactive, lazy, and lost. The right mindset will make you a warrior, even in silence. And mindset doesn't come from YouTube motivation. It comes from daily education, daily reflection, daily sharpening. Train your body once, you look good. Train your mind daily, you become unstoppable. Section 4. Emotional education. Learn how to control yourself. In a chaotic world, let me tell you a harsh reality. Most people lose everything, not because of lack of talent, but because they never learned how to manage their emotions. They destroy relationships. They quit jobs. They make terrible decisions. They get angry at the wrong time. They chase validation. They stay in pain for years, all because they never studied themselves. And the worst part? They think it's normal. I'm just an emotional person. I can't help how I feel. That's just how I am. No, that's not who you are. That's who you've been trained to be. But now, you get to retrain yourself. What is emotional education? It's the daily practice of learning. How to stay calm when others lose control. How to process your emotions instead of exploding. How to not let fear stop you. How to not let sadness destroy you. How to build emotional intelligence. How to stop being controlled by past wounds. This is not soft stuff. This is life stuff. Because if you don't control your emotions will control your life. Imagine, you work hard on a project. Someone criticizes you. If you're not emotionally educated, you break down, you fight, you overreact, you quit, you doubt yourself for weeks. But if you're emotionally strong, you breathe, you reflect, you grow, you move forward. Same situation, different reaction, different future. Emotional triggers. What sets you off and why? Childhood patterns that still control you. Fear of rejection and how to face it. Shame, guilt, overthinking. Building emotional independence. Choosing response over reaction. Journal when you feel upset. What emotion is this? Where is it from? Watch one video per day on emotional mastery. Practice the pause before speaking when triggered. Learn about therapy, healing, self-respect. Reflect. Am I acting from pain or from power? Most people are slaves to their feelings. But education gives you freedom. When you know how to handle anger, sadness, jealousy, fear, you stop making emotional decisions. You start making wise ones. And those decisions, they shape your destiny. So don't just work on your goals. Work on your soul every single day. Section 5. Market education. Learn what the world is paying for. Let me give you one sentence that can completely shift your life forever. You don't get paid for what you love. You get paid for what people need. Most people make this mistake. They focus only on what they want to do, but they never stop to learn. What is the market demanding right now? What are people struggling with? What problems are businesses trying to solve? What are people willing to pay for? This is the truth. If you ignore the market will ignore you. You can be talented, you can be hardworking, but if you're offering something nobody wants, you will stay broke. Why most hardworking people stay poor? Because they never studied the market. They kept doing what they've always done, even when the world changed. And the world has changed. People shop online now. Businesses want digital solutions. Jobs are remote. AI is replacing boring tasks. Creators are building million-dollar brands from their phones. So, if you're not watching what the market is doing, you're falling behind, even while working hard. There was a man who used to fix old televisions. For 20 years, it was a good business. But now, people don't fix TVs. They buy new ones. He kept sitting in his shop, waiting for customers who were never coming back. He refused to study the market. He said, "This is what I know. This is what I do." But the market didn't care. And slowly, he lost everything. The lesson? The market doesn't care what you're comfortable with. The market rewards those who adapt. What to educate yourself about daily? What products or services are people paying for right now? What industries are growing fast? E.g., AI, health, content creation, coaching, e-commerce. What problems are people talking about online? What jobs are in demand on freelancing platforms? What new tools are making old jobs faster or cheaper? Look at trending services on Fiverr, Upwork, and LinkedIn. Read forums, Reddit, Quora, where people complain. Problems equals opportunities. Watch what YouTubers are selling. Courses, services, products. Study what kind of content is going viral. Read business newsletters and startup news to track innovation. You can be the best singer in the world. But if no one is hiring singers, you need to adapt. You can love fixing typewriters. But if the world moved on, you must move too. And here's the good news. You don't need to change who you are. You just need to match your value to the market. So stop shouting into a dead room. Start listening, start observing, start adapting. Study the market every single day, because the ones who study the market get paid by it. Section 6. Digital education. Learn the tools of the future before they replace you. Now let's get brutally honest. We are no longer in the information age. We are now in the automation age. And if you're not learning how to use digital tools, platforms, and systems, then very soon, you will be replaced. You will be ignored. You will be left behind. Being bad with technology is no longer cute. It's dangerous. Every business is going online. Every creator is using AI. Every freelancer is using automation. Every industry is changing fast. Even medicine, law, teaching, and entertainment. So the person who says, "I'm not a tech person," is the person who will say, "I'm sorry, I'm no longer needed." Example, there was a woman who ran a beauty salon for 15 years. Great service, loyal clients, good location, but during lockdown, everything shut down. People stopped coming, bills kept coming. She didn't know how to build a website. She didn't know how to take bookings online. She didn't even know how to post on Instagram properly. She said, "I'm old school." But the world moved on. Meanwhile, a younger competitor created a YouTube channel, posted hair tutorials, took bookings online, and doubled her income without leaving home. The first woman, she had more talent, but she had less digital education. That's the difference between survival and success. What to educate yourself about daily. How to use tools like Canva, ChatGPT, Notion, Google Drive, Zoom, etc. How to create a digital presence, even simple, LinkedIn, Instagram, website. How to use AI tools to boost productivity, writing, design, and learning. How to record a video, upload a reel, design a thumbnail. How online systems work. E-commerce, funnels, digital sales. How to automate repetitive tasks. How to collaborate with others online. Spend 30 minutes every day learning one new digital tool. Watch tutorials, free on YouTube, on how to use AI, apps, platforms. Practice by creating something. A blog, a digital poster, a simple website. Apply digital tools to your job or business. Even small steps count. Build your confidence with tech, one day at a time. The future doesn't belong to the strong. It belongs to the digitally smart. And you don't need to become a programmer. You don't need to become a tech genius. But you do need to become someone who understands how the world now works. The world is moving online. And you must move with it, or be replaced by those who did. So ask yourself, what new tool did I learn today? How am I becoming more future-ready every single day? If your answer is nothing, start now, today, because in this digital world, daily digital education is not an option. It's your shield, it's your weapon, it's your future. Section 7. Self-awareness education. Learn who you really are. Let's begin with the deepest truth that no school, no parent, and no boss ever told you. You will never win in life if you don't know who you are. Most people know their blood type, their favorite food, their phone password, their social media password, but they don't know what triggers their anger, why they sabotage their own success, what makes them insecure, what kind of people destroy their peace, what they really want in life. And that's why most people live like passengers, not drivers. They let others decide what they should study, what job they should take, who they should marry, what they should believe, when they should be happy. They live based on expectations, not self-awareness. Imagine a man who kept jumping jobs. He changed companies 6 times in 3 years. Every time he blamed the team, the boss, the environment. But one day, he stopped. He asked himself, what if the real problem is something inside me? He started journaling. He reflected on his reactions, his patterns, his fears, and he realized he wasn't angry at work. He was angry at himself because he never gave himself permission to chase his dream. That one question, what if the problem is me? Changed everything. He didn't need a new job. He needed a new awareness. What to educate yourself about daily. Why do I react the way I do? What's my biggest fear? And where did it come from? What patterns do I repeat in relationships, money, work? What part of me am I ignoring, hiding, or pretending doesn't exist? What gives me true energy versus what drains me? Write one honest paragraph about how you felt today and why. Ask, was that the real me or a scared version of me? Watch videos on self-discovery, emotional wounds, childhood patterns. Study human behavior. Books like The Untethered Soul, The Courage to be Disliked. Sit in silence for 5 minutes and ask, what am I running from? You cannot escape a prison if you don't know you're in one. And most people are trapped in themselves. They try to fix the outside, but the real war is inside. And unless you educate yourself about who you are, you will keep fighting the wrong battles, choosing the wrong partners, saying yes when you should say no, wasting years doing what looks right but feels wrong, The most powerful education is not about the world, it's about yourself. Because once you know who you are, you stop chasing everything you're not. Section 8. Street Education. Learn how the real world works. Now it's time to talk about the hardest and most dangerous truth. Books can teach you the rules, but only the streets can teach you the game. You can have degrees, you can be smart, but if you don't understand how real people move, you will keep getting betrayed, used, lied to, manipulated, blindsided. Because the real world is not a classroom. It's a battlefield. And here's what they never taught you in school. People lie. People play games. People say one thing and mean another. People pretend to care until you stop being useful. This is not negativity. This is survival intelligence. For example, a boy got his first job. He worked hard, trusted everyone. He shared his ideas openly. He believed the office was a family. 6 months later, his idea was stolen. His credit was taken. His best friend used him to get promoted. And the boy broke down, not because he was weak, but because he was uneducated about the street rules of power, status, and trust. After that, he stopped being naive. He studied people. He stopped giving access to everyone. He learned how to move smart, not just kind. That version of him was unshakable. What to learn daily. How to read people's intentions, not just words. How to spot manipulation, guilt-tripping, fake praise. How to negotiate without emotion. How to build boundaries with charm, not fear. How to sense when something feels off. How to say no without explanation. How to trust slowly, observe deeply, and move silently. Read books like 48 Laws of Power, The Art of War, No More Mr. Nice Guy. Watch real-life interviews of top negotiators, ex-cons, business sharks. Study body language and silence. It's louder than words. Reflect on your daily interactions. What did I miss today? Study betrayal, not to become bitter, but to become wise. If you only read books, you will sound smart. But if you combine that with street education, you will become powerful. The world respects those who understand how things really work. So don't just be kind. Be aware. Don't just be loyal. Be smart. Don't just believe words. Study patterns. Because this world is full of actors. And if you don't know the script, you'll keep playing the fool in someone else's movie. Street education is daily armor. Put it on and never take it off. Section 9. Foundation Education. What schools never taught us, but life demands. Let's be honest. School taught you many things, but most of it never helped you face the real world. They taught you how to memorize definitions, how to follow orders, how to write essays, how to fear failure, but they never taught you how to stay calm under pressure, how to build habits that protect your future, how to manage time, emotions, energy, how to make powerful decisions, how to deal with loss, failure, betrayal, heartbreak, how to be a strong, disciplined human being. And now, you're in a world that demands all these things, but no one prepared you. That's why foundation education is your responsibility now. It's time to train for life, not just for exams. For example, there was a student who got straight A's in school, top of his class, obedient, polite. He was called gifted, the golden child. But the moment life hit, first breakup, first rejection, first time being broke, first time being misunderstood, he crumbled because no one had ever taught him how to handle pain. No one taught him how to rebuild himself. No one taught him how to think independently, act under pressure, or stand alone. All the grades in the world. couldn't save him from himself. He didn't need more formulas. He needed foundation education, the kind that gives you internal power. What to learn daily. How to manage your time with clarity and priorities. How to say no without guilt. How to sit with failure without losing your identity. How to delay gratification. Discipline equals freedom. How to take full responsibility for your life. How to choose your friends wisely. How to build a system for your habits, thoughts, and goals. How to stay calm when the world goes crazy. Reflect on your worst decisions. And what led you there? Create a habit tracker and follow it like a religion. Learn one new rule about self-discipline, stoicism, or focus every day. Practice doing hard things, not to suffer, but to grow. Read books like The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Can't Hurt Me, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Caring. You can watch their full summaries in our playlists, book summaries after this video. School gave you facts. Life needs strength. If you don't train your inner foundation, you'll build success and then collapse under it. Because money won't save you from anxiety. Followers won't save you from self-doubt. Degrees won't save you from emotional chaos. But a strong foundation, that will carry you through storms most people can't survive. So start building your internal strength every single day. Because if you don't, the world will break you, and it won't feel sorry. Section 10. Problem-solving education. How to become a builder, not a complainer. Now we come to one of the most underrated powers in the world. The ability to solve problems. Let me tell you something powerful. Your entire future depends on one skill. Can you stay calm, think clearly, and find solutions under pressure? That's it. If you can't do that, you will always depend on others. You will panic, freeze, and wait, and life will keep punching you in the face. But if you become a problem solver, you will be respected, needed, unstoppable. This is not about intelligence. It's about training. It's about daily education in how to think, adapt, simplify, and act fast. There were 2 people during the pandemic. One said, "This is unfair. This is hard. I give up." The other said, "Okay, what can I do from home? Who needs help? How can I serve?" One stayed broke. The other built a freelance business, learned online sales, and doubled their income. Same world, same crisis, but one trained to solve, the other trained to complain. Which one are you becoming? What to learn daily? How to define a problem clearly? Most people don't. How to break big problems into small actions? How to remove emotion from decision-making? How to think like a builder, not a victim? How to reverse engineer a goal? How to plan under pressure? How to use logic plus courage instead of fear plus comfort? Solve one small frustration every day instead of ignoring it. Read case studies on people who built something from nothing. Learn how engineers, designers, leaders think. Study mental models. First principles thinking. Second order thinking. The 80-20 rule. Practice journaling. What's one problem I faced today? What's one way I could have solved it better? Most people describe problems. Winners solve them. The world doesn't need more noise. It needs people who stay calm when others panic. People who think fast and act smart. And the good news? You don't need a genius brain. You need a daily practice of solving, building, adapting, until it becomes who you are. Because in the end, the complainer stays stuck. The problem solver gets promoted. The problem solver builds companies. The problem solver becomes the leader. And that leader could be you. If you educate yourself daily, most people waste their life, not because they're weak, not because they're stupid, but because they never built the habit of daily self-education. They waited for school. They waited for motivation. They waited for someone to teach them. And the truth is, no one is coming. You are the teacher. You are the student. You are the university. And if you're not growing daily, you're slowly dying. So decide. Will you scroll, or will you study? Will you talk, or will you transform? Will you watch others grow, or will you grow yourself? This world doesn't need more noise. It needs people like you, people who rise, who lead, who learn, and never stop.